Hello, welcome to Young's Crossing. Today I'm going to show you something I used to do. I know I shared with you before how I would make pillows and sell them online. I had a website for a while. I sold them on eBay and I sold them to a craft mall. And the lady in the craft mall was ordering several and I was having a hard time keeping up. And she realized I was doing it all by hand, not with a fancy embroidery machine or anything like that. Not that it was that perfect because it was supposed to look primitive, but it's just an idea that I came up with that meant a way to do it. And this is what I'm going to share with you because a lot of you don't have a fancy embroidery machine. I don't. But there are other machines now that would do this for you. But if you're not in a big hurry and you like making things, this might be an alternative to you for you to use until you get one of those machines or decide you don't want one. So I just thought I'd share it with you. And I guess we'll get started. First, I'm starting with a piece of muslin. Now this muslin, you can get it pretty white, you can get it unbleached, and it'll be darker. But this, I think I just tea stained it. Like I said, I didn't have a machine. So this, I got a very old coloring book. It was one of my coloring books. So that tells you, I'm 68, so that tells you it was an old coloring book. And I found this picture of a horse. And I traced it. You can see my pencil mark. I didn't have a copy machine at the time either. And so I traced it out and I put it under my fabric. Now it's just up to you as to how big you want your pillow, but you want to leave room around it so you won't be stitching up to the edge. I don't know if you can see the horse under there or not, but you get the idea. You can see it if you're here in person. So after I get that done, I just took a pencil and I see my horse picture ends about here, and then I have all that and all this, so it'll be good. Now if you're short of fabric, you could definitely put it a little closer to the edge, but I would leave at least 2 inches around the whole drawing. Then I just trace over it like so. Okay, I got it traced. I don't know if you can see, but I got it traced on there with the pencil. Now on this side, I've got probably 6 inches. I don't really need that much. I'm going to cut it similar though this side. And I'm just going to cut this off so I won't have so much bulk to work with. Okay, and of course save this for a future project. You know, you could get any coloring book. Okay, on my floss. You know, I was thinking if I were doing this for a little girl, I could make this a unicorn. Maybe. I'm going to do my horse in brown. There it is. Okay. Gonna divide it. It's a 6-strand, and I only want to use 3 at a time. Now I'm going to get my embroidery hoop. Okay. I'm going to All right, I'm gonna start on the back leg, just what I want to do first. Now, the way I do my embroidery may not be the way anybody else does, but I'll show you. I'm going to start just above the hoof because I'll probably do it in a gray. You come in from the bottom, and then you go down probably quarter of an inch, and you come up through the threads. Just kind of a loop. Go in here, and then you come up through the middle and push through the floss. Okay, I'm going to stop filming right now, and I'll come back with you when I get to another step. Okay, back to it. I'm having to film this over several days because we're helping my sister to move. But I did the stitching. I kind of showed you in the beginning how I did it. And it's kind of crude looking, but it's kind of meant to be. And I'm going to have to iron it in just a second. But first I wanted to do the finishing stitch. It's a little different than the other ones that I did. And I'm going to put his eye here. Let's see if I can get where you can see. I'm just going to put right in the middle. Pull it through once, and then I lay my needle here and I wrap around it. I'm going around 3 times. Actually, I'm going around 4 because horses have pretty big eyes. And then I go back in, right almost the same spot. Make sure I pull that taut, and then pull the needle through. That's a French knot right there. See? Okay, now we're going to iron our horse. Pillow topping. Okay, I've got that ironed out. I haven't really decided how big I want my pillow. It doesn't really matter because I'm going to stuff it. I'm not going to put a pillow form in it. But I was going to pick now some of the edges, and this is just a couple of remnants I bought, and I like these kind of primitive looking colors. Have those two. And then I had these myself, and I for sure want this one, but I don't know about this one. All right, I'm just going to kind of lay these around the edges just to get an idea. I think I'd rather not have the two red shaded or burgundy shaded, whatever, together, so okay. I rather like the look of this. So I'm going to trim my pillow down. I'll use my rotary cutter and mat. This tool enables me to kind of measure around where I want it. And I've decided I'm going to at least start with 2 inches from the, that is 2 inches from the farthest point, 2 inches from the farthest area of stitching here. Then I like one more. This, see, his part of him is stitched right here, so I'm putting 2 here. Laid in here. There. All right. I'm going to line them up on this one. And continue to cut out. It was easy to cut a straight edge because of the fabric print. So now I'm going to go over 3 inches. And it happens to hit right on a line, so that's fabulous. Okay, this is one border of my pillow. Okay, got that one. So put that aside. Now I'm going to make sure all of these are ironed out. All right. So I've got my strips and my stitching, and I'm going to start on the top. Put right sides together, and this one I'm going to start right at the very end, and I'm going to place it under the presser foot, and I'm going to do 3/8 inch stitching. Now I'm going to go iron this seam down. Okay, this time I'm going to go along the left side and put these together. I have this one on and all opened out. Let me trim my threads. I'll cut this off. Now I will go iron this one. I'm going to start right here, right sides together. Back a stitch. And we just like one more. Never sew over your pin. I can hear my homemaking teacher saying, do not sew over your pins. She was a good homemaking teacher, and I didn't appreciate her enough at the time. In order to graduate from her class, our senior year, we had to make a tailored suit, buttonholes and everything, handmade buttonholes. And I'll go iron this seam. I always iron after every seam. Maybe this kind of shows you more what I was trying to do. This will show me how big my pillow is going to be. And if you wanted to, you could stitch your initials here, which I might do. We'll see. For the signature, I'm just going to use 2 strands because I don't want it to take away from the project. There's 6 strands on each floss. So I'm going to separate 2. There I have it. I find if you kind of sling it under your arm, you can pull it apart without it knotting. I'm going to put it on here so it can be nice and tight. And you just put that under and squeeze it together and mash it in. And I'm going to start with the L. And once again, I'll show you. I hope you can see. Go out, up. This time you just have the 2 strands to go through. Then you go in, up around the middle, there, like so. And I'm done with that. So I'm going just back down through the top, of the J. Then I'm going to come down here to where my 25 is. Here's my signature. Not very good. Like it? Now I'm going to have to decide what I want for the back of my pillow. It seems to fit well. So I'm going to cut along this line. I'm going to leave a little area open at the bottom to stuff. I left about from here to here. I won't sew that when I'm sewing around. All right, back to the sewing machine and we'll get this done. I'm going to continue with a 3/8 inch seam allowance and start right here. Also, you can trim your corners so that they'll fold out more smoothly. Okay. Whatever you do, don't skimp on the fiber fill. You want a nice fat pillow. And you do the corners first. I get about a handful. And then I go in and I make sure my corners are poked out, pointed on each end as I stuff it. I can't stand a pillow with a empty corner. Get about that much at a time. Put it in. Yes, I think it's going to work. Whoop, see, there's a floppy corner. Don't want that. Now I have to pull it together and pin it like so. So let me grab my pins, pinning around the edge, making sure the frayed edges are getting inside. I got it pinned all the way across my opening. Now I'm just going to slip stitch that too. To slip stitch it too, I just take one strand of thread and I'm going to start over here and kind of go in so that the knot will be down in there and not show. And I'm just going to slip stitch all the way across. There are fancy ways to do it, but this is my fancy way. Knot it off. And there's my pillow. It's not perfect, but there it is. My horse pillow done the really old-fashioned way. Thanks for watching. Bye.